more than he studies other opponents, he knew what he was getting himself into and what he was going to expect as well. Is that one of the best performances you've seen from him? We know that he's used to striking a lot. Do you think that was a good tactical performance for him until you took over?
I mean, he did what everyone's going to do. They realize I'm a lot more athletic than they are, a lot more explosive. So they don't even attempt to like engage in the who's faster, who's more explosive game. They just go backwards and they wait with their hands right here. They're just looking to land either a big uppercut or the knee, which he landed. So I think that was his game plan. It almost worked. He did land the knee, but it just wasn't enough to put me away.
Yeah, no, that's it. And as we could see as well, it's a bit of adversity. Looking at you now, we know you've got some bruises and you've got a bit of a damage there, but all's good. How did you feel fight week? Now, we know that Rozenstruik's good with his hands. Now, we know that your outing with Derek Lewis didn't go your way. Were you feeling more nervous than usual going into this fight?
No, I always have nerves. It's a fight. It's a nerve-wracking experience. The whole week just sitting there waiting to fight a guy. So I don't think I had any extra nerves. Like I always have a little bit of nerves, and once I get in there, it's just the waiting that brings the nerves. It's the anticipation. When you get there, you just want to fight, and you just have to sit there all week and talk about it, and that's what gets the nerves going.
Yeah. What inspired the entrance? We noticed your entrance had a bit of a Mortal Kombat type feel to it. What brought that entrance on?
I don't know. I've been using that since my UFC debut because they have a rule. You can't use any songs that have any like profanity in it. So I just thought about what's a song I could use that would get me hyped up, but doesn't have any profanity. And like, I didn't want to use any hip hop music that did have profanity, just with it like, I didn't want to use the edited version because it doesn't work without the profanity. Yeah. So I just thought about like video games. What's one of my favorite video game intro musics? And I came up with that one. I've been using this one for like over 5 years now.
It's a badass one. So you're number 4 now. Now, one thing about you is that you're never ever too far away from that top tier in the heavyweight division. Now, we know that NGannou and Gane's just been announced, and Derek Lewis and Volkov, everybody's taken. You looking at anybody else after this? We know you're going to need to sit out and recover, but have you looked ahead? I mean, we can see Stipe Miocic is logically the next fight if we're going by the rankings. Have you had any interest, or have you looked into that at all?
I mean, yeah, I want someone who, if I beat them, it's going to just send me up the list. I don't want to just beat a guy just to get a page. I want to be able to improve my ranking and hopefully get a title shot. So if that ends up being Stipe, great. I know if I beat him, I definitely deserve a title shot. Or if that ends up being Jon, great. I know if I beat Jon, I definitely deserve a title shot. So it just has to be a guy like that, a Stipe, a Jon, or maybe the loser of NGannou and Gane, whatever. One of those 3 options.
Yeah, and we know that because of everybody else being in fights, and we know that Stipe is known for what in the NGannou fight, he's known to wait out until he gets that title fight. In some cases, it's understandable, but we know that heavyweight division, everybody's booked. The people who aren't booked, we don't know what's going on with them in terms of Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. So just to keep yourself busy, I mean, would you want to just sit out then, or would you be looking to maybe keep yourself busy, maybe do a bit of training and maybe fight someone coming up, anybody in the top, maybe top 8, maybe something like that?
I mean, it really depends because I don't have a problem waiting until February or March. I'm
Yeah.
not in a rush. So I mean, if it gets to January and I still haven't had any like discussions about a top four opponent, then yeah, we'll start exploring the options of who's available right beneath me. Because honestly, I haven't even looked at the rankings beneath me. I don't even know who, what a name would be. I don't even know.
I mean, we've got Chris Dawkins coming in. He's beginning to get a bit more attention, and we've got people like Tom Aspinall from the UK as well. Have you been able to become familiar with these people as well? Get to see what they bring to the table?
I know about both those guys. I know Dawkins. He was on the same card with me. He he was able to. Who did he beat? Abdurrahimov, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know he's got hands. He's a smaller heavyweight. He's he's not big on grappling, but I know he's got good hands. He's got good footwork. He's got the conditioning. So he's a possibility, I guess. If he beats Derek Lewis, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take that option also. Or Aspinall. I've watched a few of his. I think his last one was Andrei Arlovsky. He was able to get the rear naked, which is impressive because I thought of him as just primarily a striker. So it was cool to see that he's got more of a expensive overall MMA game. I mean, like I said, if we get to January and I haven't heard from one of those higher guys, yeah, I would definitely entertain the option of Aspinall or uh, Dawkins if he beats Derek Lewis.
Yeah. That would be awesome to see. Yeah, Aspinall brings, along with youth like yourself, Aspinall brings a lot of speed. He's very well rounded. He just got a finish against Spivak as well, so he's very much keeping that traction going. He's not in a rush to face people like yourself. He knows he just wants to slowly build up to that division and try and get there when he feels ready. But I think it'll be interesting for him to know that people like yourself are open to the idea.
Yeah, he's legit. I've watched his fights. But like you said, he hasn't built up enough of a resume for me to be like, if I beat
Mm-hmm.
him, what does that really mean for me? Like, he doesn't really have the resume behind him yet.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So, Ngannou and Gane, people that you are very familiar with now, Ngannou's been touted by the MMA community as the underdog going into this fight. Do you think, due to the style that Gane's got, Ngannou being the underdog is justified? Do you think that's a fair comparison between the two and a fair odd?
Yeah, I think it's very fair. Like Ngannou he has obvious holes in his game. He does have a major strength, but besides that one major, like his power, he's not the most technical striker. I think in terms of technique, he's like a 5 out of 10. And then you look at a guy like his opponent. I think Cyril Gane is more like an 8 or a 9 in terms of like technique. And Gane has shown he has the ability to put guys on their back, so that's also a threat. He's athletic. He's explosive. He's everything that Ngannou is, maybe minus the power in terms of just like how he looks, like the physique and the athleticism. But he's a well rounded fighter, and I think he has just a lot more options in order to win. And that to me makes you the favorite. Whoever has more avenues to victory, that's the guy I'm going to put my money on if I'm a gambler.
And just based on your own opinion, so we know that Gane has gotten to where he's gotten to through hard work and through being one of the top guys in the division now. Do you think that Cyril Gane's the biggest threat in that division as well at the moment for yourself?
Um, I see him as a bigger threat than Ngannou. I do, even though Ngannou's beaten me twice. We already know the formula in order to beat Ngannou. Just get out of the first round. Put him on his butt and get out of the first round. After that first round, the power, it dramatically drops. So we already we know how to beat him. But Gane, with that technique and the conditioning and the footwork and the range, that's a bigger puzzle. I put him up there with Stipe, another well-rounded guy. Like, both those guys, I view them as equals. They're very equally hard to beat, I think. And even though Ngannou has beaten Stipe, he beat him with a knockout punch. And at heavyweight, anyone can do that. Like, I could do that. Anyone can do that. But to beat him in a 5-round fight, I don't think Ngannou has that in him. I don't think Ngannou could beat anyone in a pure 5-round fight, because he's not going to have the conditioning. So, like, he knows he has to get you out of there and within the first round. He knows that. So that puts a lot more pressure on him. So I like guys that have diversity with their skill sets. That's just how I've always been. And Ngannou, he can beat anybody, but he can also be beaten after the first round.
So with regards to Ngannou, so we know, of course, as you've already mentioned, about the 2 fights that you've had. Does that sit with you? Do you have in your mind, would you like to get that fight back, or would you like to put it in the past and move on to more challenging and exciting ventures with people like Gane and the other division people coming up?
Well, the way I see it is, you always want to get the loss back. Like, I like to get Derrick Lewis back also, but not at the expense of the title. Like, if the UFC offers me option A, title shot against Gane, option B, revenge against Ngannou, I'm going to go with the title shot, because I fight for money. It's not about revenge. I don't hate the guy. I don't hate Derrick. I don't hate Ngannou. It's just, they beat me. I'd like to get it back, but I would prefer to have a title shot. That's the higher priority right now.
Same. Have you spoken to Corey Sandhagen recently?
Yeah, I was at the gym last week. I was watching a bunch of guys spar. I spoke to him at the gym.
So he's got a lot of big news recently, certainly jumping in to fight for the title against Petr Yan. Have you been able to throw some encouraging words and kind of boost his head a little bit going into such a big fight in such short notice?
I mean, obviously, when I found out, I did reach out. Like, I'm very happy, very proud of him, because I've watched his, like, ascent from, like, a local LFA guy into the UFC, bottom of the ranks, and now where he is now. I've been able to view the everyday progress he makes, and to watch how he approaches sparring and just everything. And he's put the work in, and he definitely deserves this. And I know he believes he can win. I believe he can win. I believe this is a 50-50 fight. And I believe the longer it goes, the higher his chances of victory become. Because Jan is also another power puncher. He's got great skill, but he likes to really hammer down on guys. He likes to put his power into a lot of his punches, which the more power you expend, the faster your conditioning is going to drop. And Corey's the exact opposite. He doesn't really put a lot of power into his punches or his offense. He likes to touch, beat you by like 1,000 strikes. I think that plays into a 5-round fight. I think he has the footwork to dance on Jan. I think he'll be able to maintain distance, and who knows, he might be able to land that flying knee of his that's become like the signature move he has. I think that's also an option.
Yep, skill and technique. It's got Corey Sandhagen very far, and like he says, just based on the way that he approaches fights, it really is just going to be a case of style-make fights and determined upon who can outlast who and whose game plan is executed most.
Yeah. It's going to be
So
a
how
great
does it...
fight, though. I know that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So how does it feel then, just being in the gym, seeing all your peers, seeing everybody from the days moving up to where they are now? What would it mean to Elevation and the team at Elevation to have a champion like Corey Sandhagen?
It'll be amazing. Like, obviously, I think the overall morale of the gym would jump out the roof. Like, everyone's going to be like, hey, we have a guy who worked his way up to the top and he just brought home a belt. I can do that also. That's going to inspire a lot of the other guys who aren't in that position yet to work harder and get to that position. It'll inspire me. I've been having like a personal a race in my head who would get to the belt first, me, Sandhagen, or Gaethje. And I think technically Gaethje, he won the belt already, but I think since he wasn't able to hold on to it as long, I think Corey bringing home this belt, I think he'll be able to hold on to it for a little while. Like, he's going to be a problem, and I think eventually, whenever I do get the title shot, I'll win my belt. I think I'll be a problem. I think I'll hold it for at least a year or two. I think all of us has a potential to get those belts and to hold on to them and to really bring like a dynasty into Elevation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's one of those gyms that perhaps we know that most gyms in America and some in Europe have got championship caliber and championship fighters, but Elevation really seems to be in a place of its own. Certainly Colorado overall, just with the amount of people you've got, like Rose, and you've got Usman, you've got Trevor Whitman, you've got everybody coming together. So it's really one of those places that if you're an aspiring fighter, I think Colorado's one of the main places to be. So what we're thinking about Jon Jones then? Do you think we're going to see him fight in heavyweight?
I don't know. I hope so, because that would be an amazing opportunity for this whole division. He's almost like a McGregor. You fight Jon Jones, it jumps your stock. Win, lose, or draw. As long as you go out there and perform, do your best, your stock's going to improve. You get a lot more eyes on you, a lot more sponsorship opportunities. So I think that would be great for the division if he could actually fight a heavyweight. I don't know when that might happen because I've seen the pictures. He looks like a heavyweight, but he does have the legal issues, and I don't know how that's going to affect his availability. I don't know if he's going to be under suspension. Who knows? We'll have to wait for the news to hit the internet because I'm in the dark like everyone else. I just heard he had a domestic, and I don't know what happened after that. Like, is he under investigation? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing then we could probably say about, I mean, the heavyweight division, we know that the heavyweight division, yourself and a couple of other people are that young breed who are still, you've got many years ahead of you. Jon Jones is still in his early to mid-30s, so there is still a chance, pending the legal issues, of course, but we can never rule out the fact that you might one day face Jon Jones, certainly if your career goes in the way that you've got planned. What would be the way then to beat Jon Jones? We know that in a lot of his fights, the people who have given him a really tough fight have been the people who have been fast, up in his face, and just not allowing him to keep that reach and distance. You ever thought about how you would execute a way to defeat Jon Jones?
I mean, I think you gave the game plan right there. You got to be fast. You got to get in his face. You can't allow him to maintain his range because when he's at his range, he's at his best. He's able to hit you with the heaps and the oblique strikes, and like he's a long dude and he knows how to use it. How do you beat long dudes? You get inside, and then that negates the length. And I think I would have, even though he looks like a heavyweight, I think I would have the power advantage. He's a very good grappler also, but I just think I'm a better grappler at at this weight, because at this weight there are moves you do and there are moves you don't do. Like, I think the double leg is obviously the most effective move. I think I've got the best takedowns in the division. So I would have to, yeah, like you said, get inside, use my boxing, get to his hips, and then once I got him on the mat, he could present some problems. I don't know what his official jiu-jitsu belt is, but he definitely rolls like a purple belt. So I know he'd have some offense off his back. We just have to work our way around that and get off ground and pound. Ground and pound is the ultimate X factor. Once a guy eats an elbow off his back, they get a lot less aggressive, and then it becomes easier. Guys aren't like fighting you as much. They're looking for ways out after a few elbows.
And I mean, you've fought against heavyweights. You've earned your stripes fighting heavyweights. Jon Jones not been fighting heavyweights. So, in a sense, he's never been up to face someone with the strength of someone like yourself and take the pressure out of the game that you bring, certainly from the light heavyweights upwards. So I think that you've certainly got the advantage in that aspect of things.
Yeah, I think I would have to play to my skill set, like use my wrestling, use my power advantage, because when it comes to like the distance game, he's obviously the veteran. He's been doing this for a long time. I didn't get into MMA until 2012, so he already had the belt by then. So I know he's got the advantage in that area. So I'd have to just play to my strengths and hope that's enough. You never know, though. But it would be an amazing opportunity, like I said, to have all those eyes on you, because you know people want to watch.
It's the money fight, and the legacy fight combined into one.
Yeah, the money, that's the big part. That would be a money fight for sure.
Life's changing. So when do we see Curtis Blaydes back? Do we see you back this year?
Probably not, because I'm going to get out of shape because I'm not really able to do much, at least not until after Halloween. So I'd have to get back in this shape, and then we'd have to get a fight. So the earliest you guys could possibly hope to see me is January, end of January, probably the earliest, but I don't have a problem waiting until maybe mid-March, early April. I'm not in a big rush.
Yeah. And why not? Certainly after such a performance. What have you got on then over the festive period? Have you got a lot of training? Have you got any kind of exciting stuff coming up that's maybe fighting, non-fighting?
It's going to be a busy